games. It's ScrubGames. Double up. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have the next in my review video series of going over Set 5, Legends of the Forest, because we've already done the Vigilance one if you checked that out yesterday. We're going to do the command ones now, so we're going to go through all the command cards, kind of see where I feel they sit, and how great they are for the next set. So we're going to go over that, but before we do, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It allows you to keep updated with my videos as and when they drop, and also by clicking that notification bell you can get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then or a later time that suits you best. Because we're on our way to 2,000 subs and we're still less than 80 subs away, which is pretty nice, and we're hoping to get there by the end of the year, so any little bit's help. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, thank you very much. So let's get into it and check out the command cards. So, starting off with the Villainy ones first, we got the first one being Exegol Patroller. It's pretty nice. 1 of 2 cost, 3/1 spaceship with overwhelm. Nothing huge. It's only got 1 health, like a lot of the cheap ones have. A lot of power. First order Sith, vehicle, and fighter. So you got some pretty nice traits there. This could be a nice new addition to the Vader pilot deck, Vader 4, or the Green Vader deck, because it's a nice cheap unit. Pretty good amount of power. Only 1 health though is a little bit of a shame. But it's like a multiple of the space units they've got in that deck have low HPs, but it's a nice new addition to have an extra vehicle for it, and also allows it to have another good vehicle to have for all different versions, because it's green, so it goes in all different versions of that Vader deck. So pretty nice one here to start us off. Next we have the Sith Legionnaire. This is a never 2 cost one. This one's a 2 cost 2/2 Sith and Trooper, so no force. No force trait, so it's not going to be able to get you the force by swinging like with the Musticon bases. But it does have a nice little ability where you control another Villainy card, it gains an extra 2 powers. It becomes a 4/2 where you control any other Villainy unit on board. It could be a Villainy unit, it doesn't have to be in the ground arena, it could be in the space arena. So you could be a space unit and then play this, or play this and then play a space unit. And as long as you've got another Villainy unit in play somewhere, then it gets extra 2 power. Now, that's pretty nice. You do have to have another unit just to get its full power, but then it can hit quite hard, and then also it's very easy to do. Just play another Villainy unit, easy enough to do, and also adds some more troopers for a card that's coming up as well. But only 2 power, only 2 health means it's not going to be surviving long, but it could be a pretty nice turn 1 play. But then once again, it's not going to help you with the force, generating the force, because it's not a force unit. But then it does have benefits for outside the force and being a pretty nice Villainy unit, turn 1 unit. Next we have Vane. And this is a new unique unit, a 2 cost 2/4. So one of those. So green Green Villainy also getting one of those nice new 2 cost 2/4s that almost every aspect's getting. And this one's Imperial Sith and official, so there's nice benefits there from his traits. And he's got a 1 played or on attack, you may defeat an experience token on a friendly unit, and if you do, give an experience token to a friendly unit. So this seems to pair very nicely with Snoke, because Snoke allows you to buff up just like what's his name, Tarkin. He can boost up a unit by giving him experience, but he doesn't allow you to choose which one. You just give it to whatever is most powerful on your board gets the experience. Where having this on board, this allows you to move it about, and even allow you to kind of move an experience across units, so you can buff them up a little bit so they can attack, get buffed up. And that's pretty nice, nice little helpful thing just to move around experience, especially if you've got something that gains experience for a little bit, or gains experience from on play, but then hasn't got the best stats. You can always move about with this, or even with like I said, with Snoke, you can get the experience off whatever you put that's the biggest and move it on spread out evenly across the board, or just move experience that's on something that's about to die to something else as well, which is pretty nice. So a pretty nice unit, not too bad effects, pretty good stats for a nice little benefit there. Jumping up to our 2, I call it a 3 cost, so our turn 2s, and we got Captain Enoch, Captain of the Guard. This is one that supports the whole, it gives more of a benefit to the troopers, and there's quite a few troopers in the dark side, especially in the green as well. And this is a 3 cost 1/5, so not the well, pretty decent stats for its like, well, at least for its cost, a good amount of health. Like normally the good stat for, well, the best stat for a free cost is a 3-5. Now it's lacking in the power, but it's got the health, and it's got some good traits in Imperial and Trooper. And its effect is also this unit gets extra 1 plus power for each Trooper unit in your discard pile. So if you go up and chock your deck full of Troopers, which is quite a few, because you've got Stormtroopers, a lot of Stormtroopers in Villainy side. So the more you get in your drop, then, well, the more you spam out before you drop this, the bigger it can get. And since it's a free drop, you can at least pull this off of Vader as well. So you can actually, from Vader, come in ambush as a 5/7 and then play this out. And this could be whatever power depending on the troopers you've got, which is pretty nice. This could be it's a pretty nice rare for those trooper focused decks. Then still sticking to free cost plays, we got Ren, just a standard free cost 4/4. This is like just like how Battlefield Marine as a 2-cost 3/3 is very good. This is one like the amazing stats for that cost, but no effect to compensate for it. He's got 4 power, 4 health for a turn 2 play, and just first order trait. So the trait, this is a nice new addition to Phasma, giving a new first order card for the green version of it. Very good stats for its cost, but no effect. So it's going to be like could be a good standard beat stick for those decks that want it, but I think it's more useful for like draft and sealed. Then sticking with free cost, we got Praetorian Guard, a free cost 2/5, so a good amount of health, reasonable power. Like if I had 1 more power, it'd be exact stats that are like beneficial for this. But this is a pretty nice one because it can become a Sentinels and never first order card for Phasma, where while you control a unit with 4 more power, this unit gains Sentinel. So that's not too bad to do. Just you play this out turn 2. Turn after you can place it as 4 more power, and then now it has Sentinel. So very easy to trigger with the Sentinel and pretty solid stats. Now jumping up to the next cost, we've got Drengar Spawn, a 4-cost 3/3 unit. It's a creature, so a new creature support, but it's in the dark side, so it's not really going to be paired for Kanan. But then you still get the benefit of a card to kind of reduce the cost that we'll see in a little bit. It has Overwhelm, and when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you can give a number of experience tokens to this card equal to defeated unit's cost. So this is pretty unique in that it gains experience equal to the cost. If you defeat a high-costing card with this, it gains a lot of experience. A low-costing card, a little bit of experience. But still, if you come down and ambush this as sit and defeat at like a 2-cost, you get 2 experience onto it, which is pretty nice. And Overwhelm means you can do piercing when it starts racking out the power. So I don't think this is going to see much competitive play because it's not great stats for its cost, but in sealed it could be pretty nice. And then jumping up all the way to 6 now, so we're doing a pretty huge jump to the next cost. We've got 8th Brother, so a new one of the third Force card. The first ever Force card we're getting in the Villainy side of green is a 6-cost 5/7, so pretty good stats for its cost. Has ambush as well, like all the Force units. Like so, this is. I think I was checking the other day, and this is the third. This actually is the third Force unit we're getting in the Villainy side of green, and all of them have ambush because the other 2 are Vader and Mole. So one have ambush, and also has a when you play another unit, you may use the Force. So another way to use the Force as well, which so far we haven't seen much of in the dark side of green. And if you do, you give a unit plus 2/2 for this phase. So it's pretty nice. A good way to use the Force to make use of it if you're using it in this aspect combo. And it's not just himself that it gives a phase. It can use if you give a unit. So you can give any unit an extra 2/2 for this phase just by playing another unit on board. So you just need to have him out, which he always does a pretty good job of doing stuff by ambushing as a 5/7, which is pretty nice. And then anytime you play something else, because it's not limited to one thing, just anytime you play another unit and also can use the Force, you can then give something a 2/2 boost for this phase. You can give something already on the board that you didn't play that turn at the buff, so they can actually attack with it, which is pretty nice. So pretty good unit, pretty cool one. Nice for uncommon as well, so not going to be difficult to get. And a pretty nice one. Not sure it's going to see much play, but it is a pretty good addition for decks potentially in future. Next we go to the space side with Eye of Sion. So this is a pretty nice one. This is the jump ring. I think this is the jump ring that they use in the Ahsoka series to jump from the galaxy where Star Wars is to another one where Thrawn is kind of has been left and been stranded for years. And it's a 6-cost 4/7 that has a load of keyword skills. It's got hidden, ambush, overwhelm, and restore 1. So hidden is pretty nice, meaning it can't be attacked the same turn it's played. Ambush means you get attacked the same turn it's played. Overwhelm, piercing, and restore 1 get a bit of healing, which you don't see much often in the dark side, which is very nice. It's also rare, so pretty nice rare. Not a capital ship, so you can't reduce it with Piet, but then Imperial Vehicle and Transport is very nice. Transport means searchable by commission. Vehicle, and also Imperial to get these beneficial Imperial traits, or synergies. So a pretty nice one. I think it will see play because it's a pretty nice one for like a 6 cost, not 4 power is not too bad, but then ambush 1 restore is pretty solid. Then we're going to jump up and double the cost of the cards because we're jumping straight up from 6 to 12. We have Supremacy. I think this is Palpatine's, or I can't remember if this is Snoke's or Palpatine's returned, like one Palpatine returns ship. But Supremacy is like the biggest of the, I'm not sure if it's a Star Destroyer, but it is a capital ship, so first order vehicle capital ship. And it's a 12 cost, 12-12, so not the biggest stats because we've already had 12-12 and things like the Annihilator and stuff like that. But it does have ambush, so it can't attack the same turn as played, and whites out other friendly vehicles gain 6/6 to them. So it's the first legendary from the dark side of, I think the only legendary in the dark side of green. And with this, you basically have just, you could attack straight away, but you're gonna have to, like, you can get out 10 resources with Piet if he is if he has survived. But well, if he's out and then stayed out. But then that's very rarely, unless you get a lot of ramp in, you're not really going to get that often. And ambush is pretty nice, so you can attack the same time as played, and 12-12 is not going to take something out, it's going to just whack and take out something, and then buffs all your vehicles out. So if you've got a good amount of vehicles, you can get a huge benefit from this, from all having 6 power and 6 health. But I don't see a time where you could, I don't see any competitive play where you can like easily get this out and keep it around for a while. So it's nice to have new capital ships because when rotation happens, Piet will lose a good amount of good ones, but then the new ones we're getting don't seem to be great ones to replace, but are going to be something to allow Piet to actually still have things to do. Next, we go on to the 2 upgrades. That's right, we don't have any events for the dark side of green, unfortunately, but we do have some upgrades because there's quite a few upgrades, and also we have a load of lightsabers. So for this one, we've got Inquisitor's lightsaber being a 2 cost 1 free upgrade. So a pretty cheap one, giving a good amount of boosts. And like most lightsabers, or all lightsabers really, I think, you can't attach them to a vehicle, so it's attached to a non-vehicle unit. And the attached unit gains, while attacking a force unit, it gains extra 2 power. So it makes sense because he's Inquisitor and they hunt ever force users. So they hunt like rogue Jedi and ever force users. So it makes sense while you gain a power boost while attacking a force unit. And most of the time you're going to want to like basically take out your opponent's force unit so they can't swing and generate the force. And it makes it a pretty strong one because then it's technically making it a 3/3 when you attack a force unit because it's a 2 cost 3/3, which is pretty strong. And it's just, even then the stats pretty nice, give it a good amount of health and 1 extra power, which can then be a bit more depending on what you're attacking into. It's a pretty solid one. Not sure we're going to see much play because I don't see many force decks in the dark side with green and using lots of force units. So it's more, I think it's more like the red. Well, it depends. Like, it's not too bad of an upgrade, but it's not amazing with its effect compared to ever kind of lightsabers. Then we go on to Craving Power. So this is the last of the villainy side green command cards, and it is like how we've probably not just myself, but other people probably like make this comparison. There are some cards that seem similar to older cards from sets, but then it seems like they're built for the rotate and have that kind of same effect. Like how Anakin seems like a post rotation set 1 Luke, because it can also -6, very similar stats in near enough the same aspects. And this is like the same one for Everyone Barrage, where it's a 5 cost card, like Everyone Barrage is, gives 2/2 boost to what it's put on, but this time's permanent because it's an upgrade instead of a temporary boost, and it can deal damage equal to the unit's power. So it doesn't function exactly like Everyone Barrage, but it's like a very barragey looking card because it's 5 cost, plus by 2/2, and deals damage equal to the unit's power, but you can't spread it out. Because the 5 cost upgrade, it gives extra 2 power, 2 health. Can attach to any friendly unit, because even go on ships as well. And in one play, you deal damage to an enemy unit equal to the attached unit's power. But unlike Owen Barrage, it doesn't spread. Like the downside is, unlike Barrage, you don't get to spread out the damage how you choose. You got to do it to one specific unit equal to the power. So you get to knock out one thing rather than spread it out like you can with Overrun Barrage. But the benefit of a Barrage is that whereas an upgrade, it gives a permanent 2/2 boost rather than just a temporary one like Barrage does. So you get to keep that power after you've used it, after the turn's passed, it goes to the next phase, but you don't get to spread it out. So a pretty nice card. Pretty handy one. High costing though, but you're given a buff to the unit and then take it out, doing enough damage, which hopefully should take it out, and then you keep the buff for a good while. So at the moment, I don't see it being amazing. It's such a high cost for an upgrade that then the unit could be just take it out. But then when it comes to rotation, this could be pretty nice. So that's all the dark ones, well, the villainy ones. Now we're going to go into the heroes ones and see what those are like. So for the heroes ones, we got the first one here being Point Rain Reclaimer. Point Ring Reclaimer. So it's a 1-cost 1/2 clone trooper that Republic trait as well. And when played, if you control a Jedi unit, you may give experience token to this unit. Now this doesn't feel that great because there are Jedis you can. Well, there is a Jedi you can get on turn 1, which is Barra Sophie from I think it was set 3. She came in. It's a 1-cost blue heroic unit. On 1 stat's not big, but you can get that out and play this. You can play 2 turn 1s if you're playing blue-green. But I don't think that's worth it to play a 1/1 force unit that can be easily taken out. Swung over, pinged for just 1 bit of damage to take out, and it's then becoming a 2/3. Like, it's not too bad. Probably it might be alright. It's not even that great in the later game, because then a 1-cost 2/3 only if you control a Jedi unit. So this is alright, not amazing, but could be good in draft and sealed. Next we have Gungi being a very good turn 1 play. It's a 2-cost 1/2/5. So like the new and like really strong stats and like the new kind of a new force Battlefield Marine where it's not got a 3/3. It's got more stats than I had where Battlefield Marine had six stats for 2 power, which this has 7 stats for 2 power, being a 2 power and 5 health. So good amount of power, good amount of bulk, and this can even survive a Tarkin down decks that want to ping 1 damage and finish it off with things that have 4 health. But this means that you'll live to be able to attack, get you to force, and survive those kind of Tarkin Town deck openings. So a pretty good one, very good one with Force, Jedi, and Wookiee, very good traits. No Republic, but it's not the most beneficial trait, so you have to worry too much about that. But still be a turn 1 force unit, can survive the majority of things, and be able to attack, gain the force is very strong. Next we have one of the Legends cards, being Jedi Consular. This is a 2-cost 1/4 Force Jedi. Has a very strong action, which makes his which gives you a good reason to use the Force, because it's an action where you tap him and use the Force, so you lose your Force token. You play a unit from your hand, it costs 2 less. So this is like a Overrun Barrage. No, not Overrun Barrage, sorry. It's a another 2 of them, and your Only Hope built into a unit. So it's a good turn 1 play. Now, if you could generate Force easily, which you can't do this unless you're playing Avarkris. You can't play it that early, because then with Avarkris this is very strong in Avarkris because you can gain the Force, play this out. So turn 2, you can then use the Force to play a 5-cost on turn 2 without needing any extra help, just a 5-cost in hand to play, which is very, very strong. It's a good reason to play this Avarkris with this. But in any other deck, you're still going to need to generate the Force, which if you're playing the blue rare base, you can get that pretty well by playing this out. This being a 4 health unit, as long as it doesn't get pinged, you can then generate the Force by the end of your turn. So your first action can be use Jedi Consular to play a 5-cost unit straight away. That's when you're playing a blue base. If you're playing in the other bases, you can play a green base, but you need to be playing. Well, you can play the green base to do this, but then the green rare base, you get free use of the Force, so you can only use this 3 times ever, unless you've got other ways to generate the Force for other cards. So not too bad there. But then the other bases, the red and blue, well, no, sort of red and yellow, you need to have a Rest a card, which, given this to be the only unit on your board at that time, if you want to get the full value and get a 5-drop out, you're not really going to get much out straight away. Wait until you get the turn 3. And so in red, you need both red bases, well, all red bases for the Force need to attack in some way. So you're not going to be able to generate the Force with red with this. So it's a very strong card, but There's some ways to be able to generate very quick early, but then if you can't generate very early, it's not a good turn 1 play. It's a good later game play. You can start playing those big units, because the more resources you got, then the bigger things you can play, because this allows you to play things like 2 turns ahead, which is pretty nice. So a very strong card, but it depends on what base and leader you're playing it with. Then we have Laura Santeka, a 2-cost 3/2, so pretty decent stats for 2 costs, being like good amount of power, and then not too bad health. Resistance 1, where when defeated, you can give an experience token to a unique unit. So it's not too bad because there's quite a few unique units, so that's pretty nice there. But then just a resistance trait means not a beneficial trait, and there are ever better 2-drops you can play throughout the game as well. So not amazing, but not too bad. Next we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this is featuring the better stats for 3 costs, being just like we had with Boba and Cassian Andor. We've got a 3-cost 3/5, it's pretty good, very good traits as well for Shadow Republic, and can be a nice little sentinel as well to defend yourself. Because it's when you play a Force unit, including itself, it gains Sentinel for its phase, so you can play it as early as turn 2, come down, gain Sentinel, be a 3/5 Sentinel in turn 2, it's pretty nice, and then any turn after that, if you play a Never Force unit, it gains Sentinel again to defend your other units, which is pretty solid. So very nice card, very good stats, and we'll see a lot of play in any deck that's running Green Heroic, especially for the Force as well. And even not without the Force, it's still very good stats for any of those decks as well. Next we have Eve Koth, and this is like the Heroic side's Force version of Super Laser Technician, really, because it's got the same kind of thing where it's a unit that can then ramp itself, but it's a lot more expensive and also technical than Super Laser Blast. Super Laser Blast is very weak, 1 health and 2 power, means it doesn't take much to just ram it into something or ping it to be able to go ahead and then ramp. And also it doesn't need anything outside of just being defeated to ramp, and it can come out as early as turn 2 as well. Whereas Eve Koth can come out as early as turn 3, so you have to wait 2 turns after your first turn to be able to drop this. And even then, you need to make sure you have the Force and keep the Force for when it's defeated so you can ramp it. But it does have very solid stats, and there are other ways to kind of make use of nice little combos, like with sneak attack, stuff like that, so you can get out a little bit early and trigger it, which is pretty cool. So it's a 4-cost 5/4, which is pretty good stats. Being a hit hard at 5 power. It's like the reverse of Cunning, where it's got more power than health, instead of more health than power. And very good stats, and when defeated, you can use the Force if you do put it into play as a resource. So once again, you need to have the Force with this and keep all the Force. It means you can't just use it willy-nilly, because as soon as you use the Force, if you got this on board and you use the Force for something else, your opponent can take that opportunity before you gain the Force again to then go ahead and just kill this, so then you don't get the ramp. And it is a rare, so a pretty nice rare, a pretty solid one, and we'll see probably a fair amount of play in the Heroic side that have green attached to them, so they can ramp up and even just push some damage to take things out while also ramping is pretty nice. Next we have Leia Organa, and this is the first in green, the first legendary in green that we've seen so far, and also the first first non-whale space unit that's not a vehicle, because we saw space whales in blue, and those are first creatures that were space units that weren't vehicles, which is nice and cool to get. And Leia is the first of the non-whales to be a space unit, and it's basically on the I can't remember which episode it was. I think it might be episode 9. It's one of the sequels, from one of the sequel series, when a ship gets a room gets busted and she survives using the Force to get through it. And it kind of has a lot of flavor from that as well, because it's a 5-cost 5/5 Force resistance official, because she can use the Force in the later films. And so while she's in the space arena, she can't ready, but she does gain this effect, which is action, use the Force, move this unit to the ground arena, and give each friendly heroic unit extra 2/2 for its phase. So she gets to do kind of like a mini unit of purpose, which gets to buff all your heroic units for the phase, and you don't have to use the Force. So while she's in the space arena, she can't ready, but then you can, at any point where you got the space unit, space, because it doesn't need a tap or anything, you just use action, use the Force, move to the ground unit, where she's now able to restand during the end of the turn, and then give all your heroic units an extra 2/2 buff for that turn, making it a little bit stronger, a little bit more bulkier. So it's really good. So you can even save her in space, ready to basically just use that effect. So you can just buff all your board, which is very solid. So pretty good legendary, pretty nice one, and pretty decent stat as well. Next we have Paladin Trading Corvette, a 5-cost 3/5 ship. When played, you can give an experience tokens up to 3 force units. Also has the Republic, Jedi, Vehicle, and Capital Ship trait. So Capital Ship in Heroics side doesn't get much benefit from that trait. General Republic could be handy ones, but then again, it's got the stats of a 3 cost on a 5 cost, which is not great, and you can give it experience to up to 3 force units, but you give 1 experience to them each. So outside of hand 2, you're going to drop this a little bit cheaper, but then you most likely potentially don't have 3 force units on board, but it could be better than that. Other than that, I don't think it's going to see much competitive play in a deck outside of hand 2. Next, we go into like some of the bigger hitters now, and we have Killer and Beck being very nice. This is what I would say is a new home 1 to use, where, and I say that in terms of home 1, where it can generate more things on board for more of its costs, because it's a 7 cost 7/7, like how home 1 is an 8 cost 7/7, and it's relevant to being similar to home 1 because of its effect. Because its effect is when played, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck for a unit, reveal it, and play it. It costs 3 less. So it's similar to home 1's on play, where when it's played, you can grab a heroic unit from your discard pile and play it, and it costs 3. Well, you can play it, but it costs 3 less. So it means you can bring back anything that costs 3 or less in your discard pile as heroic for free from your discard with home 1, or if it's higher costing, as long as you play those extra resources after the cost reduction, you can play it out. And this does the same thing, but it's instead from the discard, it's from the deck. So it only goes 7 cards on top of the deck, but it's still a good amount. Still quite deep enough to find something decent or find something to play. It isn't restricted. Well, that means also you don't have to set up things in your drop. Like with home 1, you have to set up things in your drop to bring back, or have things in your drop to bring back. But this is always going to have targets in the top of your deck. It also doesn't restrict itself to being a heroic unit. It could be any unit. It doesn't have to be restricted to a certain trait or aspect, which is cool. And also as well, it comes out a little bit cheaper, so you can come out before you play a home 1 or in Qui-Gon Jinn. This is something you can bounce back home 1 to play out, so you can spam the board more, which is pretty cool. So this is a card that will definitely see play in any heroic green decks. To be able to spam the board, pretty good stats as well, and all around solid, especially for uncommon as well. And then the last of the units in the heroic side of green, we have Yoda. So Yoda makes his appearance as the second legendary in green and the heroic side of green here. 8 cost 5/9, pretty solid stats for a cost, and has good ways to use the Force and benefits the more time you use the Force, because when played, you may use the Force, and if you do, you heal 5 damage from a base. And then it's got another effect where when you do use the Force, not just for his own effect, but it's just whenever you use the Force, you can deal damage to a unit equal to twice the number of units you control. So basically means just like how Force Lightning is for every 1 resource you pay an addition, it does 2 damage. This does 2 damage for every unit you control, because it's twice the number of units. So 2 units means twice the number of that for the D damage cost to your opponent's units. It's a pretty nice way to kind of do removal and also benefit from gaining the Force and using the Force over and over again. So very solid unit. It will see play, and it's a pretty solid one for those Force decks. And then along with Yoda, we've got his lightsaber, being Yoda's lightsaber here. So pretty sick art for it. I'm looking forward to getting this in hyperspace. So I even tried to collect all the lightsabers in hyperspace as well. And this is a 2-cost upgrade. It gives a 3 power and 1 health. So pretty solid there. Pretty solid stats for a cheap unit, and it makes for a cheap lightsaber makes sense that it's a rare den for this kind of thing. And then when played, you can use the Force, so never waited use the Force. If you do, heal 3 damage from a base. So you can give a good boost to a unit, giving 1 extra health and 3 power to a unit, and also heal your base by 3 if you have the Force as well. So very good. Even though it's one of those lightsabers that are they're named lightsabers, so it's Yoda's lightsaber. It's not one of those ones where only gains the benefit from when it's on Yoda. It's just a benefit whenever it's playing, which is pretty cool. So a very solid one. Might see play. It's got competition for other lightsabers. Like if you're playing this and you're playing a Jedi focused deck, or a deck where you want to put things like this on a Jedi, General's Blade is probably going to be better, giving it extra more boost to health as well, even though it's one more cost. It does fight for that spot. Now on to the events. We've got Following the Path being one, and it's a 1-cost event. Search the top 8 cards of your deck for up to 2 Force units. Reveal them and put them on top of your deck in any order. So this is not a great one. It's a 1-cost event, sure. It allows you to find 2 Force units on top of your deck, but then you put it on top of your deck, not drawing into them. Like, I'd much rather it be a 2-cost and be similar to the Prepare for Takeoff, which allows you to look at the top 8 cards for 2 vehicles and empty your hand. Rather it be like that, rather than just searching and putting them on top of your deck. Because all you're doing is set up your next turn, but you're not adding anything to yourself. You're just wasting a card to set up your next 2 draws. And it doesn't go that far deep to find a Force unit in 8. So if you find 1, you're essentially putting 1 on top of your deck. It's not a great card. Then we have the last of the heroic cards in the green, and that is Luminous Beings. This is a 6-cost event, and it's like a mini unit purpose. I remember there was some debate about this on why play this when you're on unit purpose. This could be good, it could be bad. I think it's not too bad because you get to put up to 3 Force units from your discard pile at the bottom of your deck in a random order. So recycle some of your Force units, and then for every single for each card you put back, you give that many units plus 4/4 for this phase. So if you put the full 3 back, you get to give 3 different units plus 4/4 for this phase, and just give them a pretty good boost. Like, it does cost 6. It's like what's it called? Unit purpose, but unit purpose is a like heavily focused deck. So if you play unit purpose, you don't play in this. But in decks that don't want to play that and don't want to go double green for unit purpose, this could be a handy way to recycle your Force units and get a nice little boost in the later game when you've got enough units on board. So it could be nice like a tech card, but it is pretty decent. It's not as bad as I've seen people say it is. Now, like how we had double blue stuff for blue, we had 2 double blue. We got 2 double green cards in green, so we're going to have a look at those now. And the first one is Oppo Rancis. I think that's how you pronounce his name, the Ancient Counselor. So this is a pretty interesting one. It's got good stats for its cost, because remember, it's a free cost, 3/5 is really good stats, probably the better stats you can get for a card. And double green, Force Republic and Jedi, so good events there. And this is one that basically it's a legendary as well, so it's a legendary. I think blue didn't get a legendary for theirs, but we got a legendary for the green one. So the 4th legendary in green. I think there are 4 in blue as well. I can't remember exactly. This one essentially gains any skill any of your other units gain, because this unit gains ambush while never friendly unit has ambush, and the same is true for grit, hidden, overwhelm, saboteur, sentinel, and shielded. And then this unit also gains raid 2 whenever friendly unit gains raid, and it's the same too for restore. So essentially, whenever this comes down, and if any of your other units have keywords, this also gains those keywords. So if you played a shielded unit turn 1 and then play this will come in with shielded as well. And even if it's not just when it's played against these things, but if you play anything after after this is played, it will gain those keywords as well. Where sure, it won't benefit from shielded it won't benefit from shielded if you play shielded the turn after you played this, because shielded is on play kind of keyword where when played it gains a shield. But things like hidden, things like ambush won't work here, but like grit, sentinel, saboteur, overwhelm, raid, restore, those all basically gain it also is interesting. It says it gains raid 2 while the friendly unit gains raid, but it's sometimes raid 1, raid 3, and the same is true for restore. So that's pretty interesting there, but a pretty nice legendary for an extra double green and a good extra addition to some good units they can have for it. And then moving to the other double green card, the other one is Acclamator Assault Ship. So let's end it there. But it's a 7-cost 5/8, so not too bad stats for its cost. Republic vehicle capital ship, so never capital ship if you want to go double green Piet, which could be an option when we start losing loads of good capital ships and then when the rotation happens. But this has got a nice effect where on attack you can give another unit plus 5/5 for this phase. So this is pretty good for if you want to try out a double green Piet, because it can come out and then once it can attack, it can come out on 5 resources with Piet's deployed. So until he's deployed, you can play this out, and then whatever he attacks, you give any other unit, not just a vehicle or like a specific kind of unit or trait. When it attacks any unit, gains 5/5 for this phase. So that's pretty strong, because you can even give Piet 5/5, so it becomes then a 7/12, I think it is, and you can start hitting hard. So even with just Piet on the board, you can swing with this, give it a buff, and then start hitting hard as well. And if you get multiple of these, because it's not unique, so the multiple you get on board, the more you can just swing, buff up something else, you can keep buffing each other up, so they're all gaining like big swings when they go for it. So yeah, the double green cards look pretty nice. Probably the Oppo is probably better than the assault ship, but assault ship being a pretty nice one for Piet or other decks that want to play double green as well. So that means we're now going to go into the normal just command cards for the rest of this now. So the first one we got is Vintage Tender, and this is the first Ewok. So it's a 1 cost 1 free, hidden restore 2. So not too bad, can't be attacked starting turn it's played. And this seems like a good new one for Ray, because it become a 1 free down to a 2/4 and a 3/5 with hidden and restore 1 as well. It's not too bad. So a nice thing that probably is going to benefit from Ray, or Ray can benefit from, but I can't see many other decks benefiting too much from this. Maybe apart from Captain Rex, maybe. Next we have Malakili, so we're going to 2 costs now. We got Malakili, and this is creature support. So like we're getting more creatures in this set due to kind of synergize with Kane and Jarus and his effect. But we got Malakili as a way to benefit from this as well, because a 2 cost 1/4, because it's the rank. I think he's the Rancor trainer for Jabba, and this allows the first creature you played this each phase costs 1 less. So if you can play him out turn 1, every creature after that is above curve. Well, it comes down below, well, above curve. I think it's a term above or below curve. It comes out a turn early essentially, because it then costs, so you can play a 4 cost on turn 2, which is pretty nice, where you normally have to play a 3 cost. And if a friendly creature would deal damage to a friendly unit, you prevent that damage. So very good synergy with Jabba's Rancor, which I think is an 8 cost. I think 8 cost 9/9. That costs 1 less if you control Jabba as a leader or a unit, and this can make it cost 6. Go to 6 with its effect as well. So you can bring out Jabba's Rancor for 6, and then prevent any damage being done to your own unit from its on play on attack, which I think does 3 damage to your opponent's unit and 3 damage to yours. So you can prevent that damage as well, which is pretty nice synergy, old synergy with Jabba. So a nice little like legacy support for Jabba there, which hasn't seen much play. Maybe make it be played a little bit more. But it's a pretty nice one if you're playing creature. But I'm not sure if like creatures would be a good one to go for green, but it's a nice little creature support as well. Speaking of creatures, we got the Minot, and this is a 2 cost 1 or 2 cost 2 free creature. So you can play this out a little bit cheaper with Malakili, but then it's a 2 cost 2 free, not too bad for stats, and overall means it gets a piercing, but with 2 power it's not going to do much piercing. Next we have the Hive Defense Wing, a 3 cost 2/4 restore 1, so not too bad stats. We've seen the kind of same cost and stats and things like Yoda. We've seen one in the blue with the same kind of thing. Restore 1's not too bad. Pretty solid. Not sure if you see too much competitive play, but it's very good stats for its cost, and with its Restore 1 it's pretty decent. Next we have Maz Kanata, and this, I think it's Maz Kanata, and this is a 3 cost 3/4, and with 1 played, you may attack with a force unit. It gives it 2 plus power for that attack. So we've seen quite a few things of this before. Like there's a lot of different ones for different traits, where you play a unit, it's got 1 play, it allows you to attack with a unit, or attack with a certain kind of unit, and it gives it a buff if it's got a certain kind of trait. We've got 1 for Rebels in Fleet Lieutenant. We got 1 for the Imperial one in Snow Trooper Lieutenant. So we've got different ones like that before. We've had it before, and now we've got 1 for Force being Maz Kanata, which is pretty good. Solid stats and a nice effect to kind of get an attacking with a Force unit and buff up. Especially if you can play a Force unit turn 1, you can then go ahead and play this to swing with your Force unit like a little bit stronger. Maybe take out their opponent's Force unit or just hit hard as well. So pretty solid card, and we'll see play. Next we have Outer Rim Mystic, another Force unit, 3 cost 2/6, so 8 cost of stats on a 3 cost, which we've had before on 3/5. Just exchanging, just like for a 3 cost where we have a 3/5, just instead of having a good amount like power at 3, it's got it in a bit more health, so taking one stat of its power into itself to kind of survive a little bit easier, get you a good Force unit that can attack on at least play on turn 2 and attack on turn 3. Next we have Jedi Temple Guards, and this is a Force unit that can get attacking straight away. So if your opponent's holding you off of being able to attack with a Force unit, gain the Force, you can have this to come in straight away, attack, and gain you the Force. Because it's it's kind of similar to some evergreen units we've had where they can just attack, come in attack, but they've got some benefits like restore, raid, and things like that. And Jedi Temple Guards, a 4-cost 2/4, Force Jedi, ambush, you can attack the same turn as played, and restore 2, so it's healing as well. So a bit of healing and ambush, you can attack straight away. A nice way to help you generate the Force, and also get an attack in. Not too much on the attack, but then a bit of healing as well. It's not too bad, just might be a bit nice if it was a 3-cost instead of a 4. Then we've got a never new creature in Kadu, be the 4-cost 4/4 creature, where when played, you can give a never friendly unit overwhelm this phase, meaning you can do piercing when the damage does exceed your opponent's remaining health. So it's a pretty nice one, and be able to put overwhelm on anything is pretty nice, especially if you can get a unit that's pretty big, giving it overwhelm when it doesn't normally have it, be handy, but not the most useful, but could be decent. Then we got Dago Yen Master, a 5-cost 5/5 Force unit that has a when played when defeated that requires you to use the Force, so another way to kind of use up and generate the Force as well. So like I said, when played when defeated, you can use the Force, and if you do, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a Force unit, reveal it and draw it, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in a random order. So this is pretty nice. It's only such a Force unit, not a Force card. That'd be a bit busted otherwise. But allowing you to bring this out. This is one that you can't really cheat out with Jedi Consular because you need to use the Force. Since you need to use the Force for the Consular to bring out something cheaper, you can't really use it for this to get the full benefit because you'll play it, not get the one play, but you maybe get the one defeated. But this is a pretty nice one to come in and help you keep Force units, so you can make use of the Force. Keep getting his Force units and get his beneficial ones, and it just any from the top 5, and even gets one defeated as well. So you can get the Force again after playing it. You can then get it if it's defeated as well. Next, we've got Relic Scavenger, a 5-cost 4/6, a pretty good stats for its cost, and restore 2 as well. So not going to be great in competitive play, but for still, it's a very, very good one given the stats and restore 2. Next, we've got Cypher Diaz as another 5-cost, but this time's a 4/4, so a little bit weaker than the last 2 we've just seen. And he's got a nice when defeated, and if you don't remember from the prequel films, he is Cypher Diaz, the one who commissioned the clone army. And that's why he has a benefit, his effect tied in with clones, because when defeated, you can search the top 8 cards of your deck for any number of clone units with combined cost of 4 or less, and discard them. And then for this phase, you can play those cards from your discard pile for free. So he's essentially like a clone version of, a clone version of Cobb Vamp, because it does the same thing when defeated, looks at top amount of cards and then puts in your discard and you can play for free for that phase. But then instead of being a top 10 for a 2-cost, I think it's top 10 for a 2-cost, or on top, I can't remember, I think it's top 10 for Cobb Vamp. But instead of looking for anything that's 2 costs or less from the top 10 or 7 or whatever it was that Cobb searches for, and then play them out for free from your discard during that turn. This one does kind of the same thing, but 8 cards, but looks for a clone a little bit more. You can add any number of clones for the top 4, so you can get 4 1-drops and then play 4 1-drops on that turn that are clones, which is pretty decent. But then it's not the best stats for its cost, but then you want to be defeated. But then there's not many great clones to get out with, and you've got to then include clones in your deck, which not many people do. So not too bad. I don't see it's going to be much like the most competitive play. Might sneak in for some decks and some certain decks, but like now I say, but not the most amazing. Then we've got Never Creature, Tech, being a new creature supposed to go against the Force. So it's a 5-cost 5/5, so pretty decent stats for a creature. And when your opponent controls a Force unit, this unit gets ambushed. So it could be a tech card for against Force-focused decks, where you can play this in to come down and just ambush straight away as a 5/5, which is pretty decent. And even come out as a 4-cost 5/5 if you have Malakelian as well. So pretty nice synergy with that, but could be a nice one against Force decks, could be a tech choice, but not much out of that. Then we go into the more creatures. We've got Hyperspace Wayfarer, one of the space whales in the green side. So 6 costs, 4/10, nothing much, just huge stats like all these space whales. They have a lot of health, not too bad on the power for them being higher costing ones. So a pretty strong creature, come out on 5 as well, which is pretty good. But nothing outside that, just survives long enough. Does he have a Sentinel to make use of the big amount of health, unless you're playing Ahsoka making him a Sentinel. But yeah, just pretty decent stats, hard to take down, pretty good for sealed. Then we get another unit for Dooku, be the new Separatist, be a 6-cost 6/6 ship. The only problem with this is that it competes for against the Invisible. No, I think it's the Invisible Hand from Set 4, which is a 6-cost 6/6, which is what makes Dooku so much better now. But so it fights for a spot on that and doesn't do much anything different, just overwhelm. 6-cost 6/6 overwhelm, nice addition, but yes, it's fighting for a spot with the. Well, you can still go with the Invisible Hand, but then you mainly want to play the Invisible Hand over this, really. Next, we got the Pericles King, and this is an 8-cost 4/12. With Restore 4, so the most Restore we've seen on a single card at the moment. And also, when played, you draw a card for each friendly unit with 7 or more remaining HP. So the nice thing about this is it's going to be play out a huge space whale. So a huge space whale and then draw a card. It's going to at least draw one card because itself is going to have 7 or more remaining HP when you play it. And yeah, this is pretty interesting. Like, it's a big, huge space unit, so it's going to be fighting against this in the space arena. 4 power is pretty decent to hit, and 12 health is going to be really hard to take down. Restore form is going to be healing for quite a bit. Unique as well, so you're not going to be able to put more than one of this. And also drawing your cards pretty nice. Pretty good for sealed, but not. I don't see going to be much use in competitive play. Right, so we've got all the units covered. Now we've gone to the only upgrade in the non-dark or light side of the command, and this is Pylo Star Compass, 2-cost 1/1 boosting upgrade. Can't attach to a vehicle, but when played, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck for a unit, reveal it, and draw it. So it's the top 3. Well, the top 3 card, a top 3 searcher for a unit that you get to draw, and then put the rest at the bottom. So not too bad as an upgrade, but then it's costing 2 to give a 1/1 buff, but then you're also gaining a card as well, so you're replacing it to hand, unless you whiff, which would kind of suck. It's not too bad, good for sealed, but I don't think it's going to be good for competitive play or casual play. Now going into the events, we've got some pretty nice events. We've got 6 of them, so we're going to look forward to that. We've got Directed by the Force being one of those cards which can gain you the Force outside of using the bases to do so, or a Varkris, and as it even features a Varkris as well. So it's a 1-cost event that the Force is with you, so you generate Force, and you can play a unit from your hand. So you essentially use this to play a unit from your hand that costs 1 more than its actual printed cost, but you gain the Force without needing to use a base, which is very interesting. So not too bad. You can potentially do this in we want to play a turn 1 unit, a 1-cost unit, turn 1, and then give it a buff, which could be useful, but then yeah, so I'm not sure how much of use it's going to be, but it's a nice way that it's always generate Force outside of having to attack a base, because it's a way to generate Force. You don't have to play a unit off it if you don't want to, but you can, or you can just use it to gain the Force. Then we've got a new kind of dogfight. So we've got Nimian Strike, being a 1-cost event. This allows you to attack with a Force unit, even if it's exhausted, and it gets 1 extra power and can't attack bases for this attack. So it is essentially a dogfight for Force units. But instead of just attacking even when you're exhausted, this attacks but with a 1+ boost to it as well. So it attacks with extra 1 power, but is more restricted than dogfight in that it's only for Force units though. So not too bad. Could be useful for Force units. It's like if you want to play Force focused deck to have this over dogfight, but yeah, only for Force decks. Then for another 1-cost event, we've got Burden of the Masters. This is a 1-cost event that allows you to put a Force unit from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, play a unit from your hand and give it 2 experience tokens. So like how we just saw Directed by the Force being a way to play out a unit but get a benefit in some way, where Directed by the Force gives you the Force and plays a unit, still paying its cost. You get to do the same thing with Burden of the Masters, because I imagine this still has to, even though it doesn't say paying its cost, I know it's implied you got to pay the cost. This allows you to put a Force unit, or recycle a Force unit, so do a restocky kind of thing for a Force unit, and then play a unit from your hand with 2 experience tokens on it. So you get the benefit of both recycling a Force unit, and then playing something with an extra 2/2 to the stats, which is pretty nice. Like, pretty decent. I'm not sure how many of these cards that allow you to play a unit but then get some benefits are going to be used, because you're normally playing them for 1 more than they are, and yeah, they can clog your head where they're not doing anything outside of that. So maybe good for seal, but not so good for standard play. Next, we got onto the free cost ones. We got Overpower, and this is a free cost event that lets you give a unit plus free to the stats and Overwhelm. So it's almost like the one we had in set 1, where it gives a boost to. I think it was one that gave a boost to a unit, and but I think it wasn't to both stats. It was just to a little bit to one stat. But this one's pretty nice in that free cost, free boost, and then Overwhelm to a unit. Make a unit. It's going to be very good for sealed, but not so good for competitive. Then we got Rampage, doing the kind of same thing, but for creatures. So, but then it's spread out, not just to one. It's spread out. So for each friendly creature gets an extra 2/2 for this phase. So if you play a creature focused deck and spam a load, which could be the whales as well, but then the whales are very high costing, so you can have to do it way later in the game. Give all of them 2/2 for their phase, making them stronger and bulkier, so you hit harder and take less, or take more as well. Not too bad there, but once again, every card that's good and sealed, but not so in competitive or standard. And then we have the last one being Protecting the Pod. This is a 4-cost tactic, so a brand new tactic, and it allows you. It basically what this does is a friendly non-vehicle unit deals damage equal to space HP to an enemy unit. So whenever one of those ones in green, like Strike True, where a unit does damage to another unit equal to some kind of stat or some kind of thing, whereas for a Strike True it was equal to its power, where this is equal to the remaining HP on an enemy unit. But it's a non-vehicle does damage to anything, which is pretty nice, because since you got the whale but like crashing into a ship, so pretty nice. Especially this is, I think, it's supposed to make good use of those whales, because they will have huge amounts of HP, so they always have a lot of main HP on them, and they can do a lot of damage for this, which is not too bad. For sealed, for sealed and draft, this could be very good, but for standard, when it rotates out, it could be replacement for a Strike True, but outside of that, it's not going to be that great. But that is all for the green one. So we've covered now green and blue, and we cover green now. We're going to cover red tomorrow, so look out for that. But then also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel for some of these cards and get a bit of discussion going. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.